the reason why I want to make this the first subject of the show is because I need you guys to understand what's going on. Sometimes I think, whether it be libertarians especially, but conservatives as well, they think they're too smart for their really own good. And that sort of manifests itself in ways that make them sort of culturally inept, and they have this inability to be able to read what is in the room. Let's say that. Socialism, let's talk about that. And obviously it's very attractive to a lot of young folk. You see a lot of young folk my age and younger, the AOCs of the world. I always point to her because I think she is a representative of my generation, because her and I are the exact same age. And they've made this sort of thing very attractive. This is a socialistic, communistic sort of idea. And I think you guys need to understand where this stems from. At first, we got to start. It's two big things that I think it stems from. But there are a lot of unproductive people in this world. And I don't think you guys understand that. A lot of unproductive people that I guess when the technology, we live in this technological digital age. Let's start with that. And because of that, a lot of folks want things there and they want it now. They want it instantly, instantaneous. And that's what a lot of the market has allowed them to, whether it be the Amazons of the world. You can get things and get it relatively fast. And that's sort of the attitude that's adopted by a lot of folks, in which they want it then and they want it now, be it in success, more so financial success, be able to get everything it is that they want it now. And a lot of folks don't produce in the sense that they want to, build the framework, the groundwork, if you will, to be able to live a life of that sort of comfort. So the reason why socialism is so attractive to them, because it gives them a means, or at least they think, to live that lifestyle while having been unproductive. So they blame, the rich folk, they blame all of the business owners and what have you. Taxing is a very attractive thing. They even speak of taxing in a way that it's almost like we want to get back at you. That's kind of how they look at taxing, and they look at it as this transfer of wealth to, let's say, demographics that don't have as much. So they love taxation. They say, well, this person isn't taxed enough, so we need to tax them more, and therefore we'll be able to give this person a house, give this person food, give this person and their family whatever it is that they need and want access to, healthcare, everything. And as much as I hate to say it, I think streaming also is a big part of that, believe it or not, for a certain particular demographic. A lot of young folk don't seem to understand when it comes to like being what you would deem as a content creator. In order to make money, enough money to like house a family, like that's the upper echelon of the content creators. And it sucks because I see all these young folks wanting to get into like streaming, and they obviously, this is why I think Twitch's culture is so socialistic and communistic in itself, because it attracts that kind of people who think that, okay, I want to sit in front of a screen and play video games all day. It's that easy. Ninja does it. And I should be able to be wealthy and taken care of. And then they start their little crap Twitch channels that'll never get off the ground because they don't even possess the capacity to be able to do that. But it also is indicative in like that sort of profession, if that's what you want to call it. It's not many people that are gonna do that and eat off of it. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. But that's not anything that unfortunately people are telling them is stuff that they need to hear, but they're not telling them that. They're not telling them that you have to be in the upper echelons. It's very rare. It's like sports, right? It's very rare that you're going to come in this space and be able to exist and make a lot of money off of it. So go be a productive person elsewhere in things that you have a better off, let's say, chance in becoming great, in being great. But work is not something that they value. The teachers, these rotten sort of public school systems have beat in their head that they got to go to college, right? They have to go through their sort of it's a chain of command, right? They pass on K through 12. They then pass you on to the other indoctrination camp in the universities. And they say that you have to do this which is sort of the culture that they create. You have to do this in order to be successful. Of course, that's bull crap. It's one of the many things that I learned very fast being in information technology, in which, half of the people that were making six digits, or six figures rather, were they didn't go to college. They had hella certs. They had certifications and what have you, but they weren't going through the college. They weren't majoring in computer science or whatever it was. Nonsensical degree. And by the time, they come out 18 out of high school or whatever, and then they start working on these certifications. And while you're in college sitting here learning a bunch of bull crap, they're actually getting experience in the field. It's an expensive mess. I think it's a scam, of course. Partially, a lot of that is because, the state is subsidizing it. So same thing with everything else, in which the state creates a problem. They create an issue where they got in a grant in the loan business. The cost of college goes up. They pile up all of these debt. These socialistic idiots who they pile up all of these debt, all this amount of debt. And then what do? They say that, well, it now needs to be free, right? It was a problem that was more so artificially created, right? But it all starts with this idea that they're owed this sort of standard of living. And they're envious of those that have that standard of living. Socialism is a philosophy for those that are envious. I know I'm all over the place right now, and that's fine. All of this connects. But it's for envious and unproductive people. They're the most attracted to socialism. For the envious and the most unproductive people that feel as if they are automatically owed a higher standard of living. They are owed things that be paid for or by the taxpayer, if you will. So their neighbor should be subsidizing everything it is. And it rids them of all the responsibility. Even when they talk about, let's say, healthcare. Notice that it doesn't come with this whole, they want to mandate, certainly more so force you to pay for it, right? The state controlling all the healthcare, you being able to, you don't have to pay for it or anything. The state pays for it. That's what they want. Notice they don't ever want to mandate that they be required to be in the best shape that they can possibly be in, right? They never do that. It's not mandated diets, right? It's not mandated exercising or anything like that. No, you got these Coke drinking and Coke snorting sometimes, fat asses who's sitting here riding on damn Walmart carts, in the motorized joints. And them the ones that's asking for, they out of shape chumps sitting there asking for the state to subsidize their bad behavior. Notice that it doesn't come with, okay, you should be forced, let's say, to be in shape so that you don't, increase your, let's say that, how do you say capabilities? It's more so you're increasing the likelihood of you needing to go to the doctor for reasons that were in your control, by the way. Right? Because that's where it all starts. Your health is in your own hand. Yes, some of us, you get born with diseases and stuff that you can't control. Vast majority of this stuff, when you talk about actual preventative care has nothing to do or little to do with actually going to the doctor. Preventative care has to do with what you consume, right? With the type of foods you consume, and if you're getting your fat ass up to go work out. That's preventative care. Notice none of that's on the table. None of that's on the table. They don't even talk about that as a thing that we need to discuss when talking about free healthcare. No, because they want you to subsidize their bad behavior. Rids them of responsibility so they can eat like chumps if they want to, and if it manifests itself into ways that require them to go to the doctor or the hospital constantly, well, they want you to pay for it. And that can be said for a multitude of different avenues and just the socialistic idea. It is a philosophy for productive and envious people. People that want what folk already have and what folk earn. and what folk work for. I don't know, this moronic idea that all the millionaires or all the people that are well off are like these trust fund babies. Not only is it objectively false, you'd be surprised in the high percentage of millionaires that were self-made. Right? They didn't have a mother or father that was rich. Self-made millionaires. They don't understand that that's a very high, no, they don't care to. Instead, what they're professional academics, which is what a lot of these Marxists are, right? They're guys, and you wonder why. I'm going to deviate a little bit. You wonder why when you look at Marxists, let's say, or socialistic professors. I would consider them unproductive people as well. They wouldn't think that. But what do they produce aside from being career academics with worthless degrees, which the only thing they could do with the degree is teach other crackheads who get in the same degree. That's it. It's not a demand for it. Why do you think they are the biggest protectors of the state and the biggest protectors of, let's say, taxation? Because who subsidized them? Who subsidizes their profession? If we got rid of that, let's say if the state got completely out of the grant and loan business and the state got completely out of education, Department of Education gets completely abolished. Let's say that was the case. A lot of these fools that work at the universities teaching your knothead kids would be out on the streets. The ones that are worth a damn wouldn't. Why do you think they're the biggest protectors of that institution? They're the propaganda wing of the state is what we generally see them as. But when it comes to why folks feel like this, like privatization is a bad thing, freer markets are a bad thing, and then the state, which is attributed to socialistic ideals, these making things more expensive through taxation, through regulation. And then they blame the capitalists when it hits the fan, which is hilarious. No man or woman in America can sit here and look at the copious amounts, dubious amounts, the numerous amounts of regulations, things that hinder people's ability to be able to freely move about in the market, business licensing, taxation, the regulations, all of that. No man or woman can sit there and objectively look at that and how much of it exists in this country and sit here and act like we got any semblance of free market capitalism or anything like that in this country. You'd be a damn fool. You'd be a liar, and a lot of you are. But when you are an unproductive person, a lot of y'all who are young folk like me, you know a lot of folks like that, right? I know a lot of folks who are fucking unproductive as all get out, right? They don't, it's a certain kind of, to be where I'm at, and I'm not trying to hype myself up. I just wish y'all kind of understood the journey to get into the position that I'm in right now and the amount of work that I had to do. And even to this day, waking up early, working out, and then getting the day started, like all what y'all see coming to fruition. Yeah, I recently got a team to help with some of the edits and all of that stuff. But this show right here, this is all a one-man show. I got the stream deck on deck, like I'm doing all of this. Is a one-man show, right? I'm doing this. I edit my videos. I'm the one scheduling the posting. I'm the one doing all of that. You know, like that's up, like, and it takes up the bulk of my day. Right, this is an actual, I'm not just sitting there, press and record, and I go fucking eat Cheetos or something like off stream. Like, no, I record, then I gotta plug it in. Sony Vegas, well now Magic's Vegas, DaVinci Resolve, and I'm sitting there editing stuff, I do all that myself. That's on top of doing the TV stuff that I do with like Blaze. That's on top of all the ghostwriting and stuff that I still do. As a legitimate form of income, right? And still taking care of the house and making all of that stuff is what I do right now. And it was a long journey to even get a following in that regard, because I was in the private sector at working a regular job for a very long time, being a gym, being an AGM and a general manager for gym in the gym industry, right? Like I worked. For some of y'all that may know me from back then when I was just, right before backwards, when I was in fire and doing it, you see probably me posting stuff talking about me working. You guys remember that while I work at the gym and my overnight would quit on me or something, or my overnight wouldn't show up. Who the motherfucker that got to come show up to go work overnight at a 24-hour gym after just worked 12 hours? This guy, right? So then I'm there going into the next day, 10 p.m., going into 8 a.m., doing everything that was expected of the. Oh, y'all know how many times that I had to do that. For those of you that knew me back then, I worked. But there's a lot of folks that don't want to do that, and a lot of folks look at that as a means of oppression. A lot of them hate their jobs because they are bums. And socialism in itself, that's attractive to them because they're not providers. They're not productive. They've made bad decisions. They've put themselves in poor economic situations, and they want folks to bail them out. That's why socialism is so attractive. And the minute you understand that, the better you can navigate sort of what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with people who want to be free. We are dealing with folks, and this pandemic should have showed all of y'all. We are dealing with folks that want to live off the state. They want to be funded by you and the people that are actually productive. They don't care about the economic consequences. They don't give a damn about that. You not having enough money for your kids to leave off to your family? Who cares? They want to be taken care of by you. They'd never learned a skill that was worth a damn, that could make themselves competitive in the actual job market. What philosophy would allow them to be what they would believe to be taken care of? Socialism. Well, the state gets in the way of privatization because they want to make sure that you are taken care of. And that's how the socialists always see themselves, as the humanitarian people. They want everybody to eat. They want everybody to be, taken care of, though a lot of them are unproductive. And this is why it's not like a meme. I don't know if you've seen some of these weirdos actually in person. Most of them, you got a bunch of academics, so they're paid for by the state anyway, right? A bunch of academics, career academics, meaning they're professional students is essentially what they are, right? Who are paid by the state one way or the other. And this is why you have them, and you have fools that are they have nothing, no skill set that makes them valuable in the market. So they work jobs that they hate, and they look at that as a means of oppression. Well, this job that basically anybody can do, flip a patty at a fast food restaurant, they should be paying me a quote unquote living wage to subsidize myself and my 6 kids or whatever that I have. Never mind that virtually it's a skill set that anybody can learn. So there's a giant economics it gets in the way to them. They just want to be taken care of. They're unproductive people. And unproductive people love socialism. Envious people who sit there and see the rich man that had worked his ass off to get in the position that he's in. They think that he should be taxed more so that they can subsidize their bummy ass. That's the way they look at it. Me, and I'm going to end on this note in terms of I'm a capitalist. And I'm a guy that advocates a free market, true libertarianism. Privatization, absolute private property rights is something that I hold dear. And the reason being is because I personally find it liberating. Because I know, and if we lived in this society, for the most part, if I'm in the situation that I'm in that situation because of what I did. Something that I did. What it was in my control. Not passing blame to everybody else. The rich man or the white man sitting around the corner pulling puppet strings or something like that, causing me to be a failure. That's not how I operate. I'm not wired like that. I want the power in my own hand. I don't want to pass off the obligation to another man or a woman. That's not what I want to do. I want to build this sort of generational wealth, intergenerational wealth, pass on to my kids, my own personal legacy. And I don't want to pass that obligation on to other folks. And that to me is a liberating thing. Now, it requires a lot of accountability. It requires a lot of responsibility. To the socialist, that's absolutely scary. Because God forbid you be responsible for your actions. God forbid you be held accountable for what you did, right? You did something stupid. You became an unproductive person. You didn't work. You tried to become, put all your stock into something else that was never going to work out for you. You did that. There is a philosophy for those types that not only they get to present themselves as heroes or humanitarians, but they also get to rid themselves of any sort of responsibility, any sort of accountability. Socialism is a philosophy for the envious and a philosophy for the bums. And the bums will always lose.